Each car generates terabytes of data. It uses it for its own purpose and it throws it away. If we manage that data better, we get all sorts of extra value for that. We've got to start thinking a wee bit differently about software. Different software has different life cycles, different requirements. Some's safe, some's not. Let's classify that and start dealing with it in the right way for that. And no one person, no one company is going to solve this on their own. Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Birnie, so I run NXP's automotive system engineering team. This is a new team we formed about a year ago now. We've got 10 automotive product lines in NXP, and we realised we wanted to go down the systems route because we are, thanks Steph for the new term, we're one of these tier hopping semiconductor companies. So we formed my team, so I run across the 10 automotive product lines. And yesterday was a huge day for us, because I'm sure people saw in the news. Yesterday we closed the acquisition of TT Tech Auto. So I increased my footprint by my headcount by 10x in one move. Only cost 600 million, but who's counting? So I flew in this morning from Turkey. So I was in Turkey yesterday welcoming some of the team. And it's a real step forward in that tier hopping relationship. In my role, I get to work with many of the OEMs. I can probably now say most of the OEMs around the world. So this is a talk about a few things that I've seen along the way. Okay, stuff we've seen along the way. So if I ask what's an SDV, I'm going to get 1,000 answers. The previous presenters have done a nice job of explaining what an SDV is, so I don't need to. But we're basically going from that left-hand side, which you can't see yet, which is fixed. It's every box does a different function. It's rigid. It's expensive. It's a mess. And then we want to go to that right-hand side, which is modular. It's streamlined. And it's built for scale. And we're not just doing that for fun. We're not just doing that because it's good fun for engineers. We're doing that because cars are too expensive. We're doing that because as consumers we demand more features, and we heard great detail on the features we want. And we're doing that because we want the features earlier than we've been able to get them before, because the development cycle has been too long. Heard a great story. I keep talking stories. I heard a great story with one of the OEMs, which hopefully I'm not breaking confidentiality, but I don't think they're in the room, so I'll chance it. They were explaining that they wanted to add a new feature. It was a cool feature. It was, as you open your door, if there was something on the other side of the door that you couldn't see, it would stop you opening your door. That's cool. I don't want dings in my door. And they realised that that simple feature, it's a simple feature, was going to involve 50 software modules, 10 hardware modules, and each of those hardware modules was built by a different tier one. Guess what they did? They said, no chance, scrap it. We can't add features because they don't have that modular architecture. So that brings it down to nuts and bolts. It doesn't work today. So let's start thinking about SDVs. If you look in the car park out there, you can't walk down and say, that's an SDV, that one's not. That's an SDV, it's not. It's not black and white. It's shades of grey, or I'm from Glasgow, so it's shades of blue and green. So as you come down from the left-hand side, on the left-hand side you talk about software-enabled. You can't even do an OTA update of a bug. You then start talking about connectivity. You're adding in unlockability of features that are already in the vehicle. You can start doing OTA. You can start looking at an upgradable platform where there might be something already in there. Then you start looking at OEM developed platforms, and you start thinking about software revenue streams. And then the very far right-hand side, you're talking about an innovation platform. That's where your vehicle is a platform for the third parties, the ecosystem, to make money. So we then add in all the other detail. On the left-hand side, the scope is probably IVI at the start. The scope increases towards ADAS. The scope is eventually the whole vehicle. We've got to add in lots of features, hardware and software features, to make that all possible. We've heard this morning about some of those from SOA through the CI/CD, etc. Software, I think there's an inflection point coming on the software side. To quickly get to an SDV software platform, the OEMs that have got there have taken ownership of all their software. To get to the right-hand side, they give it up again. So to accelerate, they've taken ownership, and then to fully get the value from an SDV, they give it away to the ecosystem, for the ecosystem to make money. Similar on data. The OEMs that have really adopted and embraced the value of data, do it themselves, and then they give that away to the ecosystem to get full value. We're going to see that again and again. So I hear you ask a question. Somebody asked it, where are OEMs today? Somebody must have asked it. So that's what I see. OEMs are nowhere, by and large, are nowhere close to an SDV. I saw data that said, by 2032, 30% of vehicles will be SDV. It depends what you call an SDV. It's on that spectrum again. Most are nowhere close to it. Most are dreaming about it. Most are late with their programs. There's one or two companies that are a software platform, full ownership. You know who they are as well. One in the west coast of the US, one in China. Nobody's on the right-hand side. Nobody's on the innovation platform yet. So I come from a chip company, so I've got to talk about hardware. Interesting, this is one of Brendan's questions. How do we build an architecture, a scalable architecture that hosts this SDV? The good news is the world is trending towards something called a zonal architecture. That's where we physically locate our boxes to pick up all the functions in that physical area rather than organised by functional domain. So the cost saving of that in BOM and wiring is greater than the complexity that it adds to the software architecture. It's the middle one there that I call vehicle compute and zonal. It's probably 2 to 4 zone controllers. It's got a central gateway and vehicle computer. Those zonal controllers are doing processing. There's also a whole bunch of end nodes. So lots of processing at 3 layers, end, zone, and center. It's pretty good. It scales pretty well from low end to high end. Each of these boxes could be a small box, could be a big box, more end nodes, more zone controllers. It scales nicely. BOM cost? Nah, it's not good. It really isn't the best. So I can make the BOM cost better. I can make the BOM cost better by tailoring it to the vehicle I want. I could take it to central computer. I can make specific the zone control for that vehicle computer. I can get the cost down. The challenge then becomes how to scale it. That's for a vehicle. That's not an SDV. That's not for a platform. That's for one particular vehicle. So then we go to something that's much more designed by software, by system engineers, system architects. Not great for legacy, and it's this one here. It's the Consolidated Compute. Consolidated Compute has the goal of pushing all compute to one node on the vehicle, the central computer. The zone controllers are just pushed through aggregators that take in all the I/O from whatever protocol they're talking about, convert it and send it straight through. The interesting thing was zone controllers, you're probably talking 2 to 4. Aggregators, I see numbers from 6 to 20. You can scale it. The challenge is where you're coming from and the legacy you're coming from and whether you own the OEM owns the software or whether the tier 1 owns the software. That's the only challenge. It is the right answer from a system engineering point of view. It is the right answer to get to a scalable platform. It is the right answer to get to being able to add functions in your SDV if you can handle where you're coming from a legacy point of view. The industry is hugely focused on SDVs. You turn up at a conference and everybody's banging on about them, have been for a couple of years now. But I'll bet nobody has and nobody ever will walk into a showroom and say, can I have an SDV, please? They'll never do it. So we've got to be careful as an industry. We don't get a little bit too hung up about ourselves. What customers want, and me as I'm a customer, I don't want an SDV. I want these features. I want the ability to add new features to my vehicle over the air, not just bugs. I want to be able to add new features. I want to personalize it to my car. When I hire a car, I want my personal personalisation from my own car to transfer to my hired car. I want the car to know who I am. I want to integrate it with my smartphone. It's just exactly all the stuff that Steph told us about. There's nothing new in this list. These are the features I want that the industry has decided that SDV will somehow deliver. And I want to future-proof my car. You called it retention. I'm Scottish, I'm tight. When I sell my car, I want to make most money out of my car so I can buy something nicer. So that all sounds good. SDV is adding customer value focus, customer value features, but the culture of us as people says we do not want a platform, we do not want to be told what to buy, we want choice. We want differentiation, we want diversification. It's hard-grained into us. You can see the numbers. The US, surprisingly, was less number of models last year. 376 models of vehicle were sold in the US last year. Europe was 997. That was up on the year before. So while the industry is trying to force us down a platform, consumers still want choice. And that's on a flat number of vehicles. So we've got to do something here. We've got to have a scalable platform that gives the customers what they want and their choice. They think they're getting a choice, but it's still on a platform. I like to think of an SDV as an iceberg. And this is a bit of a teaching to the OEMs, because the iceberg tells us that what everyone sees is the BOM cost, but you've got to look below that. When you look below the water, there's a whole ton of things. If you only think about BOM cost, you're going to make the wrong decisions. The platform costs of things below it, whether it's the software stacks, the integration effort, the safety, security, compliance, the validation effort. We've got to take all these things into consideration. So I'm now getting worried, so I'm flashing red, but I'm going to ignore it. Shh, don't tell Andy. Thanks, Brendan. So the industry wants to build SDVs. The customers don't want them, the industry does. Why do we want them? It's that platform effect. You don't want to produce software for every vehicle separately. You want the platform effect. You want the scaling effect with all the technology behind it. That's fine. That's easy stuff. The other reason why we want SDVs is for data, the usage of data. Each car generates terabytes of data. It uses it for its own purpose, and it throws it away. If we manage that data better, we get all sorts of extra value for that. If we manage that in a standard way, we can bring in the ecosystem again to produce functions and produce uses of that data, cloud-based use of that data. Think of the uses of the data that a car would produce if you were the garage mechanic, if you were the OEM reliability engineer, if you were the city infrastructure manager, the motor insurance analyst, the component supply chain planner, the weather forecaster, your doctor. Think about all the uses of the data the car has if you come from a different world, and don't just think about this as the car industry. And the car industry needs this data as well, because the car industry, we need to improve the vehicle. We use that data. We use the data from the garages, from the maintenance, from the manufacturing plant to put it back through the cycle and through the digital twin that improves that plant model, improves the software that for that vehicle and the next vehicle and the next vehicle to go around that cycle again. So the scalable platform. If we keep going the way we're going, we're not going to get to a scalable platform. We've got to do four simple things. The building blocks we are using in the industry, we've got to take them up a level, bigger modular building blocks. We can't be talking at chip level, we can't be talking at stack level. Take it up a level, then we can get modular, then we can get reusable. We've got to start thinking a wee bit differently about our software. We can't classify software as one software blob. Different software has different life cycles, different requirements. Some's safe, some's not. Let's classify that and start dealing with it in the right way for that. And no one person, no one company is going to solve this on their own. The idea of a supply chain is long, long gone. It's a supply spider's web network, and then you get people that are tier hopping. It says we've got to do this together. And very quickly, as a conclusion, you know, it's a complex world, absolutely. The answer's there though. It's not difficult. It's complex, yes. The solution is there. We know what to do. We just need to work as an industry to do it. Thank you for listening. Sorry for going over time.